Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of a Tru Offseason, where we talk about everything that's going on in the NFL, or all the fun things. And recently, we've been back at it, trying to cover the draft, the 2026 NFL draft that was in the books a couple not too long ago, a couple weeks ago. But last week we covered everything that happened in the AFC, and a little breakdown, division by division, team by team of the AFC. So it's only right that this week we come back and we do the NFC. And of course, when I say we, I mean myself, I mean Chase Oliver. And sir, how are you doing this fine Tuesday evening after your Timberwolves stole one from San Antonio Spurs?
I feel great, John. People keep doubting us. I don't understand. We have made the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row. I don't understand why we get doubted so much. Like we get treated like we're such a bad team, but we step up every single time. We beat the Nuggets in round one, and then now round two. I get it. Spurs are the fun, sexy young team. But the Timberwolves have kicked this young team's ass a couple times in the regular season.
I just need to know, do you have a spare body part ready to go for any part of Anthony Edwards that could get injured?
He looked fine. We look great.
I'm just saying, do you have one in case, like in cold storage, like anything he might need, like something for the elbow, shoulder, knee?
I'm more worried about Naz Reid than I am Anthony Edwards at this point, because Naz Reid seems like every other play he's like holding something or whatever. But yeah, it feels great. I placed money that we would win this series when the Wolves were like plus 600. I was like, what fucking idiots, like disrespecting my franchise. Whatever, it is what it is. But yeah, I can't wait. Game two, I do expect the Spurs to play better, and maybe we fall off. But it's always great to get like a big win on the road. Like it makes it feel a lot easier, and makes like game fives and game sixes more manageable and stuff. So I would love to win both games though. If we went up 2-0, I'd feel a little bit. I'd feel so much better.
But yeah, there's a lot of parallels between what you were just saying and the NFL draft, because there were a lot of teams that needed depth when it came to making the playoffs or sustaining a run in the playoffs. There's a team that definitely needed secondary help, and they needed bodies in the form of the Detroit Lions, for example. And that's been true for the Lions for a number of years, and they've tried to address it. And we're going to see how teams like the Lions tried to address their needs in the draft. So let's get into it. Let's get started. We're going to start with none other than the NFC South. So Atlanta, we know Atlanta didn't have their first round pick because they had traded it to the Rams in order to get James Pierce Jr. last year, and sure, he's still out on what's going to happen there. But they did to start their draft in the second round, picked up Avion Terrell, one of the the draft, loved the NFL in the draft. They love to have those feel good stories. So Avion Terrell is getting drafted, and behind him in his family's house is AJ Terrell, current cornerback for the Atlanta Falcons. So it's going to be a brother duo at cornerback for the Falcons, and hopefully it works out for them. I have nothing against either of the players, but it's just like, do you want to draft how much of it was Avion's a great player, and how much of it was we get to have two brothers? Like there's an element there. I was kind of surprised that they did take Zachariah Branch, only because to me, you're kind of set on offense. I guess there's an idea there of who's really the question is who's going to be quarterback, not who's going to be wide receiver. And this is a team that for a while has struggled on the defensive side of the ball. That's why the only offensive skill position is that round 3 is Branch. Everything else is defense until the 7th round where they take a tackle. So they're still trying to figure out what they need to do to get this defense where it needs to be. How'd you like Atlanta's draft?
Yeah, Atlanta went with a lot of guys that are like guys that were highly rated at one point at some point in their draft process, like Harold Perkins Jr. at one point in time, like in his freshman year when he was a true freshman at LSU, people were talking about how he's going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. And here he is sliding all the way to the 7th round.
Yeah.
Same with Ontario Thompson. A lot of people thought this guy had a potential to be a first rounder at one point. Kendall Daniels, another guy that a lot of people felt could be a high-end first round, maybe second round guy. Zachariah Branch, before this season started, a lot of people were saying because of his speed and what he can do, that game-changing speed, he'll be a first rounder. Avion Terrell, kind of was like the only guy they got correctly, like in the round that he's always kind of been slated just because he's smaller than his brother AJ Terrell. So I kind of like it because you're kind of banking on the players and their skills, and you hope that these players live up to the potential you think that they could potentially have. Like, it's just almost like, you know what if we do get the good version of Harold Perkins Jr.? Because Perkins Jr. is kind of like, I'm not saying he's Arvell Reese, but it's kind of like with the Arvell Reese situation with Harold Perkins. He started off as a edge rusher for LSU and then kind of transitioned into an off-ball linebacker, and both positions he's kind of been, you know, his first year at LSU, amazing edge rusher. Then afterwards, he kind of fell off a bit. Then they made him off-ball linebacker, and then he's been kind of So it's one of those things that's going to be interesting for sure. But I kind of like what they did. I think they got, once again, more key pieces on defense, which they desperately need. I think Branch is pretty much like the Darnell Mooney replacement. Mooney is no longer the fast guy anymore. Yeah. Like, he's still fast, but not as fast as Mooney.
That's the Branch pick is kind of interesting to me because I look at their offense and I go, all right, so right now, like, the depth chart has Drake London, Jahan Dotson, and Zacchaeus. So, like, Branch should at the very least become the wide receiver 3. Like, yeah. There's a strong argument that he should be the wide receiver 2. He should be able to beat out Jahan Dotson and Olamide Zacchaeus.
Jahan Dotson is like the Ray McLeod replacement. Like,
right.
Branch is the Mooney replacement, and then because McLeod, I don't know what happened to him. He just flamed out in the league. Like, it's just one of those where he's like, okay, cool. We have Zachariah Branch being now the deep threat guy. So
yeah. So let's turn from the Atlanta Falcons over to the Carolina Panthers. We've got our Panthers fan with us in the chat, hopefully, while we cover this, because he was interested. He was interested to see who Carolina was going to go, and that was one of the jokes, right, that the GM had said before the draft was there's no rule that stops you from taking 3 wide receivers in the first round, and they did not this time. They went with a offensive tackle, Monroe Freeling out of Georgia, and it's, you know, like, that's one thing that they needed to do too. Like, you needed the offensive line as well. So you got to find a way to really just protect Bryce Young and get him more help in that sense. But what I did like was that this Chris Brazzell pick, like that round 3 pick, it's interesting. It's kind of fun because, like, you have the ability now between Tet, between Jalen Coker and now Brazzell, like, you have the ability to do an interesting little, like, it's an interesting trio. I want to see where Xavier Legette falls in all of this. Like, he's been on the downturn pretty much since almost the day he came in the league, and it kind of sucks because he's a hilarious person, and, you know, like, you want what's best for a lot of different, from a human standpoint, you want what's best for people. But what I also liked was that they double tapped cornerback, because for the Panthers, having a quality secondary in a division that includes Drake London, Kyle Pitts, that includes Chris Olave, and now Jordan Tyson, that includes Godwin, Igbuka, McMillan, like just the bevy of options, the spoils of riches of options that the Buccaneers have to throw to. You need to get that cornerback help. So how did you feel about the Carolina draft?
Yeah, I thought it was good, building off like what was a surprising playoff appearance for them. Like, let's be real, no one had the Panthers making the playoffs last year, and Bryce Young, he recovered, like, he found himself, and he played like a really strong quarterback. And, you know, getting a Monroe Freeling, who I think most are believing he's going to be playing guard in the NFL, but if he does play tackle, probably the right tackle position. But worst case scenario, you get yourself a good guard that will help keep Bryce Young on his feet and have it where Bryce Young can do his Bryce Young magic plays, where, you know, he's a great improviser in the backfield. Bryce Young is not a scrambler, but he can scramble if needed. But overall, I felt they just got good players. Like, they just got good players that will help. Lee Hunter seems like a perfect guy to pair up with their star defensive tackle. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? I should know him. He went to Auburn and stuff. Yeah, on the Panthers. They're one of their best players, the defensive tackle.
Bobby Brown. No.
Derek Brown. Yeah. Pairs up well with Derek Brown. Could be a guy that's more in your pass rushing set, so that's also good. Chris Braswell, you know, Legette has not panned out as they wanted him to pan out, and Braswell could possibly taking Legette's job because slot king Jalen Coker, that dude's not, like, sign that guy to whatever contract he wants. He's great. I love Jalen Coker.
Cokehead, stand up.
Yeah, Cokehead, stand up. Sam Hecht, that was probably one of my favorite pickups they got. I think he's going to be one of those guys that everyone's going to be like, oh, how did he become a 5th rounder? But I think with the team and the scheme that the Panthers like to run, and being someone that could either play opposite outside of JC Horn or someone that can be in the box and the nickel, he can kind of do a little bit of both. I think he's going to play really, really well. So I kind of liked what they did here, the Carolina Panthers. I think they got talent that will help them keep building on this playoff roster, and hopefully a playoff roster where it's like, hey, instead of like squeaking by and having a losing record into the playoffs, you're one of the teams where you go at least 10-6, 11, or 10-7, 11-6, and you make it to the playoffs. So hopefully gain more wins for them.
Yeah, I mean, like last year was because the thing was I was changing what I did was I made a duplicate of the 2025 spreadsheet, and then I went through and I was changing the names and everything. And so like it's interesting to see where teams were last year and who they were picking. And last year we were talking about them adding like Nick Skirton and adding Prince Umanmielen. So it's like adding those pieces on defense. They get another year to develop. You start adding more people here. It's like you can clamp down on an offense fairly well with this Panthers defense. Like it's growing, it's getting better, it's step by steps. And I mean, that defensive coordinator is Evero, who was with Denver during one of Denver's as Denver's defense was really getting built back up. So he knows what he's doing. One thing I do think is going to be really interesting is they did not take a running back. And I want to know, like, what do they know about Jonathan Brooks's timetable for return and how he's going to look when he comes back? Because if they have the ability to run the ball really well, like they did last year, but they instead of Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard, it's Jonathan Brooks and Chuba Hubbard, then this is an offense that can really, really take off, because that was the hope, right? Like that when they got Jonathan Brooks, that was going to be one of the game changers for Bryce and take a lot of the pressure off of the passing game. And they didn't have that. So to see where it goes from here with Brooks, that'll be something interesting to see. But let's turn to the New Orleans Saints. Kellen Moore as another year as the head coach for the Saints. He's trying to find pieces and ways to help out Tyler Shuck, who was one of the quiet, revelations at quarterback. A lot of people had sort of written him off due to age, due to where he was drafted. They said he was just kind of like the placeholder, and he said, no, I'm going to play. And at the very least, he was better than Spencer Rattler. Like that was the original thought process, that he would be better than Spencer Rattler. Mm-hmm. And he really proved that he is way better than Spencer Rattler. And so now they're saying to themselves, wow, so we have a quarterback. We got to build around him while he's cheap. On a rookie deal. It's not a first round deal. He was a second rounder. So they have even less time. So they got to try to move quickly and see who they can get now under contract. And so they're going pretty heavy to try to build this team back up. They take 3 wide receivers in this draft, and they kind of spread it out and allow themselves to get help elsewhere. One pickup I did think was interesting was Oscar Delp at tight end. We know that Juwan Johnson only has this is his last year basically of the contract. The out is after the 2026 season, and I have a feeling that from the cap hit, they may try to take it. He's also going to be he's in his 30-year-old season or 30-year season, so like that's why you want to get a guy like Oscar Delp. Now, on the flip side, though, Delp has a lot of room that he needs to get better at, because when we were talking during our draft preview, as we said, like, you stepped into the shoes that Brock Bowers had, and they were not throwing to you. So Georgia knew that you weren't going to be. Now, obviously, Brock Bowers is we do throw the term around a little loosely, but arguably he is a generational talent at tight end. So if, I'm not expecting Oscar Delp to be Brock Bowers. I'm not expecting him to be 90% of Brock Bowers either. But the fact that Georgia really shied away from using you, that has me a little bit of concern. But the big thing, and where this whole draft is going to pan out, and it'll really be decided, is that first round pick, the Jordan Tyson pick, the injury history, like getting on the field issues for Tyson. When he's on the field, he's pretty electric. Like arguably he's the best wide receiver between him, Lemon, and Tate. But he has to be able to see the field. And between Tyson, who has that history, which could be overblown, it could be it's a nothing burger, and Chris Olave's concussion history, which is not a nothing burger. That's one of the reasons why I think they went back and got 2 more wide receivers. But how do you feel about this one, especially with considering the fact that you're like, if you're Tyler Shuck, you have the ability to throw to Chris in a perfect world, throw to Chris Olave, throw to Jordan Tyson, and if they're not open, either Juwan Johnson will be, or you could check down to Travis Etienne, who they signed. How do you think
Travis Achan?
Achan, I'm sorry.
Yeah, say his name correctly.
But how did you feel about New Orleans?
I actually did like what New Orleans did. Like, I didn't think I would like it, but I actually did like what they did. They kind of copied like what Atlanta did, where they're like, let's just go with guys that like have high ceilings, like have potential to have high ceilings. Like Jordan Tyson, if he stays healthy, this is like a steal for them at 8. And I think that's why they went with him, because they were just like the one thing is like the Saints, they did a good job drafting their tackles early. They got Fuaga like 3 years ago. They got Kelvin Banks last year, 2 years ago, Fuaga. So their right and left tackles, those are set. Those are your bookends. They're both really good. Hopefully they turn out to be much better than just really good, but they're both really good. You got one of the better centers in the NFL. Guard is kind of like your weakest position. You have something in Shuck, and you just got to show that you believe in the kid. You can't just give up on him and stuff. And like, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, you know, maybe the Saints do this, but even the worst case scenario is if, like, let's say Shuck flames out and your team isn't good. Well, you have Travis Achan, you have Jordan Tyson, you have Chris Olave, you have Juwan Johnson, who seems to get better with age. Hopefully Oscar Delp pans out. Maybe the new quarterback you draft afterwards, he gets to walk into a pretty nice situation with an offensive-minded coach in Kellen Moore that he does well wherever he goes as an offensive coordinator. So, or as an offensive mind. So to me, I kind of liked it, because this draft, it's either like, hey, we can keep improving and be a perennial playoff contender like we were last year, because the Saints were kind of in it near the end over there. They were mathematically eliminated, but you look at the record, they were very competitive with a lot of teams, especially when Shuck got into the game. Or hey, you know what? The roster, if it doesn't pan out, at least like we get into the next draft and we still got talent like Lorenzo Styles Jr., you know, brother of Sonny Styles. And yes, he's not as good as his brother, but hey, he can pan out to be a very, very solid pickup safety. Barry Brown, a guy that I liked out of LSU, does not have the same love affair as many other LSU wide receivers in the past, but I think he plays well into that Kellen Moore system. TJ Hall, a cornerback out of Iowa, I mean, can play in the nickel, could be your nickel corner if he pans out that way. Christian Miller, that's another good pickup in the second round that they got. So I like what the Saints got, because they got guys that possibly could make impact on the roster, or they're just building blocks that keep getting better and better as the years go on. And especially Tyson, I just think it's just such a steal to get him at number 8. Like he's clearly, like, I get the injury concerns, but he's clearly was the best talent available that wasn't Caleb Downs, and they didn't want a defensive player, and there was no reason for them to draft a defensive player. They need to keep building Tyler Shuck. There's not a guard that they were going to take. They didn't want to trade down to try to risk Vega Aone. So they said, you know what? Let's just get another wide receiver. Yeah, sure, it'll be hilarious when both him and Olave are sharing ice packs on the sideline and stuff, but still, I think I liked what the Saints did. I think they got a lot of great talent that could ultimately pan out for them.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. Like, this is a division that always feels open. So it's like, yeah, to your point, like if you want to be a real playoff contender, it's not just, you know, luck of the draw of who happens to win the NFC South this year. It's you have to be able to compete, as Carolina found out when they got into that playoff game against the Rams. Like you have to, you know, now you're at the big kids table. So yeah. But there's a team that has had a lot of experience with the big kids table, especially in the past few years, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were stunned to find out they had not won the division. It was Carolina. So they are retooling, and they're trying to figure out where they're going to land. And some might say that just as the Caleb Downs is falling, and we're going to cover the team that got Caleb Downs, this gentleman, this first-round pick, and Reuben Bain Jr. fell even further. Downs went 10th. Ruben May Jr. fell to 15th. And it's really interesting to see a team that needed defense and needed pass rush really was able to get an awesome player in Ruben Bain Jr. And I know that the Buccaneers also have a lot of holes or a lot of issues when it comes to the secondary. But you know what can help a secondary? Really good pass rush. The Denver Broncos could tell you that much. I mean, granted, you gotta have somebody like a Pat Surtain there, sure, but like that's if you can get the quarterback and hurry him up, and he's throwing a lot faster than he wants to be, that's how you can win. Well, that's how your secondary can win. And Ruben Bain Jr. can do that. Now the whole issue is going to be the whole hands thing. Like whatever it will be at this point. He can't grow the hands any bigger than they are.
Yeah.
Like the other thing I think is interesting is this Ted Hurst pickup. I'm like, what is this? What is this ridiculousness? Like, how many wide receivers do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need? So, like, let's just recap here because they're like, shit, we lost Mike Evans. So, like, all right, we got Godwin, McMillan, Tez Johnson, and now we're going to add Ted Hurst to this.
And don't forget Baker's former college teammate, the Sterling. He played for the Giants.
Oh, Sterling Shepard. Is he? I don't even know if he's still on there.
He might sign. Who knows?
Probably re-signed. But like this is it's really interesting. I'm wondering if this is a look into the future of where we are next year. And Chris Godwin's whether his status as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, maybe they are preparing for the potential future of in 2027. The wide receiver trio is Igbuka, McMillan, and Hurst, or Igbuka, McMillan, and Tez. Like, we don't know. I mean, it'll probably be Hurst over Tez Johnson, but Ted Hurst is ridiculously fast, fast. And that's something that is really, really good for somebody like Baker Mayfield. And if you can have him and Igbuka streaking down the sidelines, well, then now all of a sudden, Bucky Irving can eat in the short passing game. Cade Otton can eat in the short passing game, and McMillan can eat as well as an intermediary target. How do you feel about this Buccaneers draft? This Ruben Bain pick, I think, is going to be really, really interesting considering the number of teams that passed on him and the fact that, there was David Bailey and there was Arvell Reese, and Ruben Bain Jr. falls to 15.
I love it. What a pickup at 15. They just sat there, let all these other teams pick from their needs. And Tampa Bay was like, we have other needs. But Ruben Bain just fell to us. This is great. A great pickup. Doesn't have to travel far. Miami to Tampa. Yeah, good for Ruben Bain. I love that pickup. Josiah Trotter, nice little linebacker. But yeah, the Ted Hurst pickup, that right there was just like, okay, you guys stole a bunch of other wide receivers. And now you're stealing Ted Hurst. What are you guys doing? Like they just love doing this where it's like third or fourth round. They have other needs on the roster and they just go, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to draft another wide receiver we don't desperately need. But yeah, I love this pickup. I like Ted Hurst a lot as a prospect. I think that he fits well with what Tampa Bay wants to do. He's perfect to complement Igbuka or Godwin, whoever he's complimenting, whatever side he's going to be. He's going to be a great complement with that speed. Maybe he also helps with Igbuka. There's a fun world where it's Igbuka and him just running down the field like maniacs. And then Jalen McMillan is just Jalen Coker, slot god, and he's just slotted it up back there. And I like Jalen McMillan too. I felt that, the injuries kind of hurt him a little bit and stuff. But yeah, no, they have a nice little fun. That's a fun little trio or fun little wide receiver room that you have there in Tampa Bay. Rest of this draft, wasn't really a fan of their later round picks. I think their first three picks, very good home run picks, but the rest is kind of like you could have gotten better players in the positions that you were at. I just felt there's not a lot of floor with some of their later round picks.
Yeah, I can see that. And Davion, yes, I did get a haircut this morning actually. Today. I've now had 2 haircuts in the past 10 months.
That's good.
I like that.
I just shave my head every so often.
We're going to that wedding in San Francisco this weekend. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I should probably go.
Say hi to Stephen Curry for me.
No, I definitely want to go to the Niners Stadium as we talked about because I want to see that. That's where the Denver Super Bowl was.
Right.
But
And then you can get infected by the power plant.
Yeah, by the power plants, right? Davion also adds the Trotter family legacy continues, and I must confess I don't know what the reference is here. Do you?
I think he's like a kid from another NFL player. Like there's like a bunch of Trotters.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Huh. Well, interesting. But yeah, so that was our NFC South, and let's turn to, you know what? Since we were talking about people falling, let's turn to the NFC East.
His dad was Jeremiah Trotter, played in the NFL as well.
There it is. That makes sense. That makes sense a lot. Let's turn to the NFC East, and let's start with the New York Football Giants. And the New York Football Giants, my goodness, 2 first-round picks after the trade of Dexter Lawrence to the Bengals. And what do? They go and get one of the best defensive players in this draft. And because it is such a stacked defensive draft, a lot of these players are going to be tied together, especially Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles. And lo and behold, Sonny Styles went to the division. So we'll be talking about him sooner rather than later.
All those Ohio State defenders went these teams.
It's really funny because like a couple of years ago, right, it was all these Georgia defensive players.
Yeah.
And it was just, this Georgia guy became an Eagle. Oh, this Georgia guy became an Eagle. And now it's Ohio State players. But Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, David Bailey, and Reuben Bain Jr., like they're all going to be tied together at the hip for different reasons. And I mean, Styles maybe a little bit less, but it's going to be interesting to watch all of their careers. Meanwhile, the Giants, knowing that they got to protect Jackson Dart, especially because he likes to try to concuss himself, go and get Francis Maigoa, offensive tackle, with that second pick. There's really not that much to dislike about this Giants draft. They add Malachi Fields, who is a good running mate, a good pass-catching help to take some of the pressure off of Malik Neighbors. So it's going to be Slayton, it's going to be Fields, it's going to be Neighbors. They did lose Wan'Dale Robinson in free agency. And then you just got like 3 6-round picks, and it's like, we need depth. We need to add people. If they turn into something, they turn into something. But talk to me about the Colton Hood pick, and then how did you generally feel about this Giants draft?
I'm not like most people. I wasn't like the hugest fan of the Giants draft. Arvell Reese is a great talent. It's just more for me, like with John Harbaugh now at the reins. I'm like, wouldn't you want a Sonny Styles who's a proven outside linebacker, and you coach Roquan Smith?
That's what I thought he was going to do.
And Ray Lewis, that you're like, let me get this Sonny Styles guy that I can say, like, hey, I coached 2 of the best linebackers in the last 2 decades. Like, I can help you. Arvell Reese, like, they have so many good pass rushers already. They already have, like, pass rushers. Like, I know that my boy from last year, he didn't have the best pass rushing stats. I know, like, he had more attempts on Monday Night Raw than he did on the football field. But it's like you have him, you have Burns, you have freaking Thibodeau and stuff. I know Thibodeau's more like in the 3 technique a lot of times for them, but it's like, how many more pass rushers do you need? And then, like, if he doesn't pan out there, Arvell Reese, you're going to have him try to learn off-ball linebacker in the league. Like, and he wasn't even that good at off-ball linebacker at Ohio State. Like, Sonny Styles took his spot. So I'm like, right. I'm confused by that. And then Maioga, he's a right tackle. He's not a left tackle. I don't like taking the guy that everyone's making fun of that did the dance video, Caleb Lomu, that got drafted by the Patriots. Mm-hmm. He was a left tackle. He was a left tackle. Maioga is more of a right tackle than he is a left tackle. So it's like, to be honest, I'm like, I don't know. I didn't like a lot of Maioga tape when I was watching it either. Colton Hood is actually my favorite pick that they got. I think he did a great job filling in the void of Jermod McCoy at Tennessee. He plays really well. He can sometimes not be in the best position when it comes to tracking the deep ball, but I think him going against Malik Neighbors in practice will be very good for his development. And I think Colton Hood, he'll turn out well. Malachi Fields is a nice little player, and then I don't know. This felt very like John Harbaugh was like, oh wow, I actually have a high draft pick, but he was drafting like he was still in the mid-20s. I'm like, what are you doing, John? You had 2 high draft picks, and I don't know. I would have taken a flyer on Tyson. My personal opinion, I felt to help Jackson Dart, I feel like you get Tyson and Neighbors, you get 2 explosive wide receivers. I think that helps more. But hey, if Arvell Reese pans out, he pans out. We'll see. Maybe him, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns.
I think that may, I think a lot of this draft feels like a Joe Shane trying to keep his job draft.
Oh,
in the sense that, like,
I think Hard Knocks should just go back to the Giants, and we should just watch Joe Shane freaking out, talking to his kids. Let's talk about a real winner of this draft. Let's talk about my team. My team.
Wait, you mean the one that you said was going to win the division last year?
And they're going to do it again this year.
Okay, let's talk about.
They're not going to let me down this year, man.
Let's talk about your second NFC team out of the three teams you have. We have the Dallas Cowboys here.
What a winning draft by Jerry's not cooked, man. Jerry.
You know what? You take the stage. You tell me about the Dallas draft,
dude. Jerry Jones. For years we thought this old man was cooked. Sell the team, Jerry. And Jerry went on the mound this draft and was just throwing heaters, and you just couldn't believe it. He was so close to a perfect game, and then later on he had to draft Anthony Smith. Like that was like that was like the one little blooper. It's like, oh, Jerry, why'd you go into bad habits again, Jerry? But this whole draft, I'm like, oh my God. Like, first of all, just trading up for Caleb Downs, just like saying, you know what? He's one of the best players in this draft. He's really fucking good. There's not going to be another safety like this guy. Let's just get Caleb Downs. Like, if you ask a lot of these prospects, they're just like even Malik Neighbors, when he was doing a podcast with Micah Parsons, he was like, oh no, man, I don't have to play against this demon again. Like, he doesn't want to. Caleb Downs is one of those players where you're just like, oh God, this guy again. Like, he is so good and at one of the most disrespected positions. But then getting your rival, the Eagles, to trade up because they think you're going to take Mekhi Lemon. You had no intention taking him, but you forced the Eagles' hand to trade up because they think you're thinking about Mekhi Lemon, and then you end up getting Malachi Lawrence, which is a really, really good pickup, because this pick 23, that was the Eagles' pick. They were picking at 20, and the Eagles were thinking Dallas was going to take their guy who they got at 20. And Dallas like, him, CD would be great. And then they're like, what do you want? Got more capital out of it. And then they ended up getting the guy they wanted, Malachi Lawrence. Amazing. Deshaun Bartman, great pick. Drew Shelton, nice little depth piece at that tackle position, because they've also had injuries at the offensive line. This is no longer like look at the great 5 starters of the Dallas Cowboys offensive line. This is like the 3 Tylers and then a bunch of other guys. And one of the Tylers, he keeps getting injured at offensive tackle, so they need someone. Devin Moore, who I think can actually just pan out really well for them. And then, what a steal, LT Overton in the freaking 5th round. Jerry, you're so back, bro. You are so back. You're throwing heaters and stuff, and you're going to force George Pickens to play on the franchise tag too. Fucking throw. Dude, Jerry Jones is so back, man. We are so back. We are so back.
I love how he randomly does pick this Anthony Smith as
one. Yeah, that's the worst.
Carolina.
I'm like, dude, Jerry's throwing a heater, and then I'm looking at all the people available. I'm like, oh, he could get this guy, and then I see Anthony Smith, and I'm like, all right, Jerry, like, you were throwing a perfect game, and then all of a sudden you got cocky, and you thought that this breaking ball down the middle would be great, and then the guy hit it down the line. The ump didn't call it foul, and then you ruined your perfect game. And now there's a runner on base. You still got a no-hitter, but you could have had the perfect game, Jerry. You didn't walk anyone on base either. You were just he was dealing this draft, bro.
I'm kind of with you. Like, there's really nothing that I dislike about it. Like, I remember you sent me the video of the 2 war rooms of the Eagles and the Cowboys figuring out the trade, and like my response to you was, it's not like they picked bad people with those 2 4th rounders. Like, because in the sense of normally you don't want to trade in division, but in this situation, they were, I wouldn't say that they fleeced the Eagles, but like they did a good enough job of getting value for the Eagles just moving up 3 spots. Like that, like for what it was, it's like, all right, cool. Like we got you. Because if we think about it, earlier in the draft, when it came to the 1st round, the Chiefs moved from 9 to 6 to get Mansour Delane, and they sent back a 3rd and a 5th. This is from 23 to 20, so roughly the same number of spots, but later in the first round. So you'd think the value wouldn't be as high. And what do they get? Instead of a third and a fifth, they get 2/4. It's roughly the same. Like,
and the Eagles definitely thought, the Cowboys are just going based off the best player available. If they went up for Caleb Downs, they're going to take Mekhi Lemon at this position. They're going to take who is the best player available, which was Mekhi Lemon at the time. Like, he was the BPA no matter what position of need you needed. So the Eagles, they obviously wanted Mekhi Lemon. So did the Steelers, and Mekhi Lemon didn't realize the Eagles traded up for him. But
that was honestly one of the funniest moments of the first round, is Mekhi Lemon finding out that he's going to Pennsylvania, just not the part of Pennsylvania he thought he was going to go to.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on to the Washington Commanders. The story of the Commanders is so interesting, right? Like, they finally look like they got the guy in Jaden Daniels, and injury concerns are now a thing with Jaden Daniels. And it's like, how is this going to pan out? How is this going to work out? Like, you were not expecting from going from the NFC Championship game to picking in the top 10. Like, that's a wild fluctuation, especially because that year when you were playing in the NFC Championship game, you picked third overall, or second overall. So, like, you went from 2 to the NFC Championship game to 7. A wild swing. So this was a team that had a lot of pieces getting older on defense, a lot of people that needed to get changed out, and a lot of things that needed to happen. And they sort of did, I don't want to say like a spray and pray, but like, that's kind of how it comes across. I don't know if like they're in the right boat when it comes to some of these picks. The Antonio Williams pick is interesting. Like, I kind of like that because Terry's getting older, and there's really nobody else next to him when it comes to this wide receiver room in Washington. Like, if you pull up their depth chart, it's Luke McCaffrey, De'Ami Brown, Treylon Burks, Jalen Lane. Like, it's just guys. It's not any names. And so getting Antonio Williams, like, it's adding just a name, at least right now, but it's more opportunity for somebody to figure out, how do I become the second best target or the second most target on this team? And how do I earn the trust of Jaden Daniels? I want to say the Katron Allen pick is, I don't know how to feel about that one. It's just kind of weird to me in the sense that I know you needed a running back, but like, you did bring in Rachaad White, and like, Rachaad White's not the best, but like, between him and Ja'Cory Croskett, like, it just was like, I thought if you were going to go for running back, you'd go in a different direction, or you'd try to get one through free agency versus the draft, considering this wasn't that stacked of a draft for running back. So it's just interesting to see how that one shook out. But obviously, the make or break here is Sonny Styles. Like, if Sonny Styles pans out, a lot of Washington's problems change, because Jaden Daniels has to play at a different rate, at a different clip, because he's oftentimes playing from behind, or he's trying to just score as much as possible, because he doesn't know if his defense is going to let him down. So if Sonny Styles is able to anchor that middle section of the defense and that middle section of the field, this defense changes a lot, and they're going to be able to offer up a lot shorter distances for Jaden Daniels to have to drive down and to score. So you can become a little bit more of you can add some elements of ball control offense into the playbook. And maybe that's why they wanted Katron Allen. And maybe that's the hope. And that's what they're going to go for. How did you feel about Washington's draft? Because I feel as though it's like I said, it was sort of spray and pray, but not really. How did you feel about this one?
Very erratic draft by the Commanders. You got Sonny Styles and Antonio Williams, which I liked. But then the later portion of the draft, just grabbing positions where I'm just like, did you really need this guy? Like Joshua Joseph, Katron Allen. Like, I don't know. I felt like a team with like limited draft capital, and with the salary cap situation that they're in, and also the kind of like the flux that roster is in, they could have done a lot better. But hey, getting Sonny Styles and Antonio Williams, pretty nice. We'll see how the rest pan out. Pretty much, that's how I felt about Washington's draft. I wasn't a big fan of their draft, to be honest.
Yeah, and maybe we look back on it and Katron Allen really was a really game changer for them because he took the RB1 job from Nick Singleton for a reason. So
yeah. Him and Rashad White just feel so redundant with each other. Like they're just like
yeah.
Just the same type of back. Don't know if they're really number one running backs in the NFL. It's just okay.
But let's turn to the Philadelphia Eagles with one of the I think I left Markel Bell down as a tight end. That's my bad. With one of the funnier drafts to me, not just because of the move up. That's not really the reason why. It's because I'm trying to figure out what their plan is with their first 2 picks. I want to know what the Eagles are planning on doing with Eli Stowers and Mekhi Lemon, especially because you moved up to take Mekhi Lemon because, he's a tackle, not a tight end.
Offensive tackle. He was horrible too, by the way. He made that's why I think teams felt that Mar-a-Lago was some all-pro guard because they had to watch Markel Bell play and they're like, oh, this guy sucks.
But like these are 2 players in Mekhi Lemon and Eli Stowers that excel at being vertical targets. But for Mekhi Lemon, it's his route running and his ability to separate and his ability to cross into the middle. He's a great mesh player. He's a great slants player. He's a great corner slant in. And what does Jalen Hurts, the greatest quarterback in Alabama history, who Chase loves more than Bryce Young?
No, not even.
What does he not do well? Throw across the middle. I'm like, wait a minute. Why would you do this? As soon as they drafted Mekhi Lemon in night 1, I immediately was like, okay, I have the 2nd overall pick in the dynasty that you and I are in. I was like, I need to trade this pick because I was going to take Mekhi Lemon, but I'm like, I hate this landing spot, and I don't like.
Thank you. I got Carnell Tate out of
and
it.
Yeah, I ended up trading it to you. You get Carnell Tate. It works out well for everybody. But like that was who I was targeting originally was Mekhi Lemon, and I was like, this guy I'm not saying he had to go to the Rams or anything like that, but like not a team that does not do what he does well. Now, the Eli Stowers pick is interesting because it's like that's basically your Dallas Goedert replacement, but Dallas Goedert has slowly turned into not a vertical receiving threat. He's turned into more of a short yardage safety valve guy who's going to be harder to tackle. Eli Stowers doesn't really play like that. Like we'll see if he's able to transition that game to what the Eagles do, but the one thing that works in their favor is that the Eagles are yet again changing offensive coordinators. Will they try to get something out of Jalen Hurts that Jalen Hurts doesn't normally do? We'll see. Another part of this also is going to be what are all the details of the AJ Brown trade, which we now pretty much know is going to happen. Especially we now know because of things that have happened since the draft, but on the night of the draft, when they're moving up to take Mekhi Lemon, that's your sign. Like if there was ever a sign that AJ Brown is absolutely getting traded, it was the Mekhi Lemon pick. Now things that he has said or AJ Brown has said at like a celebrity softball game, at a kids camp, all that kind of stuff, it's fairly obvious. And they're kind of just waiting for the fallout with whatever's going to happen with Mike Vrabel in New England. But how do you feel about this Eagles draft? I talked about the first 2, but like it just is. I don't know what to think about this. Like at all, almost. It feels as though they're not players that help them now.
Yeah, well, a lot of the first 2 picks most likely are players that will have to help them now because the Eagles. One thing is their defense is pretty darn good. It's just the offense can't match up. I mean, the Eagles, their secondary set. They have a great defensive line rotation, and if they want to trade like a Jalen Carter, they're going to get great assets for a Jalen Carter because he's one of the best players in the NFL. But it's like they needed something on offense because there would be times you would watch the Eagles offense. There would be games where it's like, yeah, this is why the Eagles are one of the best teams in the NFL, bro. Like you can't stop this offense. And then there's games where the offense would just fall into a lull, just do jack shit, nothing. And you're just like, what? Like, how many games did we watch last year where like the Eagles went up like 24 to 0 in like the first half, and you're like, yeah, this is gonna be a routing, and then you're tuning into the game by the 3rd and 4th quarter, and the other team is coming back and they have a chance to beat the Eagles.
That's literally the Broncos Eagles game.
Yeah, because the Eagles they they just stopped on offense a lot of times. And so that's why they got guys like Mekhi Lemon and Eli Stowers, guys that don't stop and that can actually make a difference with the ball and stuff. Well, Markel Bell and Micah Morris, those guys are more going to be like, hey, learn behind these people. You're going to learn behind, some of the better tackles and some of the better guards in the NFL. And hopefully one day you'll start. And they most likely will start a game this year, especially with the age of some of the Eagles offensive linemen. They're not going to play like the full season. Like Dickerson, he ain't playing a full season unless like he can win best offensive lineman or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, when it comes down to it, it's more of like a lot of the guys are drafted late, definitely more like, hey, you're redshirting, you're going to learn our system, you're going to get better. Because the Eagles still have one of the better rosters in the NFL, and they're still one of the better teams in the NFL at the end of the day. But they just needed something to jumpstart that offense. And like you said, we don't know the whole A.J. Brown thing. We won't know what they get for A.J. Brown until June 1st, because that's when he can be traded, is June 1st. Like I'm sure we're going to hear the trade like a week in advance, because that's how the NFL works. Like this whole like, well, it actually starts on this date, but then we learn about it a week in advance and stuff. It's the funniest league of all time. It's like the NBA. It's like, oh, the player can't agree to the contract until this date, but just know he is going to sign with the team with this much money. It's like, how do you know? And stuff. So it's great.
It's the Andrade. Oh, how you know?
How do you know? Oh man, one of the best. But yeah, no, I like it if the Eagles offense actually does shit. This is more one of those drafts. Like, but the thing with Lemon is this: he's like he's just Devonta Smith. it's literally the same. And the one thing is with AJ Brown has that big body and can catch like Jalen Hurts' erratic balls that Hurts likes to throw. But Kyle Lemon's not like that. He is not like that at all, where he's going to be able to catch these erratic Jalen Hurts balls and stuff. So I don't know. Like I said, maybe they get Pop Douglas in the trade or something with AJ Brown.
Actually, one of the things I heard, like, I mean, obviously people are just spitballing, is the idea that one of the persons that could be sent back in lieu of a pick, one of the persons that could be sent back is Kayshon Boutte. And that would be kind of interesting, I think. It is kind of the same thing, though.
No, but I think May and Boutte have like a nice connection. I wouldn't want to ruin that. He feels like a great number 2 next to AJ Brown. I mean, I think it would be nice for the Eagles to get him. I'm not against it. If I'm the Patriots, I'm like, here's Pop Douglas and you'll like it.
Right, but like the question here is like, if you're the Eagles and you're like, hey, if you want AJ Brown, then we want Kayshon Boutte, and then you as the GM of the Patriots, they're like, hey,
Vrabel loves this guy as much as Diana Rossini, so he's just gonna do whatever. Did Tomlin like him? Did we ask the future Patriots coach Tomlin if Vrabel had to step down? Yeah, man, I like AJ. He liked DK, except more polished. Former teammates too. They were former teammates, AJ Brown and DK Metcalf. Crazy. One team had them and couldn't do shit.
Wait, in college?
Yeah, at Ole Miss.
Oh shit, that's right.
They're college teammates. Yeah, they had Jim Kelly's kid throwing to them, Chad Kelly.
Yeah, wow. Well, I mean, that's probably the reason why I was checking throwing them.
Yeah. but yeah, no, they were scary. They were scary together. And
yeah,
so, Ole Miss. Yeah. A lot of games I was spearing them, and then thankfully, quarterback couldn't throw them the ball.
Well, let's
like Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry. It's like, oh, LSU had these guys. How did they suck? Did you see their quarterback? Couldn't throw. Jordan Jefferson.
Let's turn to the NFC West. The NFC West is an interesting realm, right? Because this was arguably, well, outside of Arizona, the most competitive division in the league. Like, they really were going punch for punch to the point that every single one of the playoff teams could have not just been the division leader, but could have been the 1 seed. All 3 of them. And it was incredible because, especially, remember, you and I were talking last year about the Niners and their chance of taking back the division and how relatively easy their schedule is going to be.
Yeah.
And yet again, injuries are what they are, and the Niners cannot stay healthy to save their lives. And so now they're picking in they have a lot of things that they got to do, a lot of holes that they got to fill with these injuries, as well as people getting older. And that's one of the things that I think has been really under the radar for the Niners, is how a lot of their picks have not panned out. However, the couple of picks that have, the George Kittles of the world, obviously Brock Purdy, because of those picks, people think that John Lynch is like this really good GM, or Kyle Shanahan is really good at picking talent. And they're kind of so-so. Like, they're not really that good. There's just a couple people that have hit so well that, like, you know, like, who imagines Mr. Irrelevant not just being a quarterback, but like Mr. Irrelevant then getting the second contract, and because he's a quarterback, getting a 200+ million. Like, it's just, it's not really, like, even San Fran was passing on him. Like, they had to have a bunch of times for him to be Mr. Irrelevant. But anyway, they're trying to address some of these issues. And let's just start with the head scratcher in the room. Why are you taking Kalen Black in round 3?
Come on, man. I called this. I told you he's such a 49ers running back.
I know you did, but like, round 3 is the issue that I have.
Yeah, I mean, they wanted him. I don't know how to explain. A lot of these guys were just like, this whole Niners draft. It's like their best pick, in my opinion, was Cyrock, and it was like, okay, cool, you got him like at round 4, but like Stribling too, and I'm like, wait, so you guys traded back at pick 33? There's a bunch of other talented wide receivers on the board, but you were with Dazon Stribling, and then Romilio Heights. It's like, there's other edge rushers on the board, and you went with him, and then Kalen Black, and then Grayson Halton, and then Carver Willis. It's like, you were just drafting players you like. You weren't even looking at like actual, like, oh, this guy might be. I didn't get this draft from the Niners. Yeah. But hey, Kalen Black, I called it. I said it, like, can see me on the Niners stealing touchdowns from McCaffrey.
Right. It will say, I will say, as Davion says, Dazon Stribling, the nephew of Don Morocco. Really, I did that. Another thing I did not know.
They showed that on the ESPN draft and stuff. Like, they're all like, oh man, they're making it. Was funny because they didn't know who the fuck Don Morocco was, so they were like, I'm being this serious. They didn't know who Don Morocco was, so they were talking about how he was like he's part of the bloodline, and I was like, no, he's not part of the bloodline. Like, what are we talking about? Because of high chief Peter Maivia, they started showing him too, and I was like, what are we doing?
Listen, ESPN was like, listen, we got to find a way to talk about WWE, and it helps if we can find a way to make this about the bloodline. Yeah. Roman Reigns. What I was going to say though is about the Stribling pick is it's actually one of the little more interesting picks, because Stribling's one of the better, arguably top 3 or top 5 blockers in this draft when it comes to wide receivers. And if there's one thing about Kyle Shanahan we know, it's that he loves wide receivers that are willing to block for the running back. And that allows you to get on the field when it comes to the Shanahan offense. And Stribling projects as not like a poor man's Juwan Jennings, but very similar to Juwan Jennings in how he his willingness to block, his ability to block, and then his ability to get open. So as a Juwan Jennings replacement, because Jennings is sitting there in free agency, apparently he wants too much money. I think he had a visit with the Ravens and they couldn't get anything done. It's like, if you can't get money out of the Ravens for a wide receiver, considering the wide receivers they've got, then you may be asking a little too much. But as a player, Stribling can project pretty well in this offense. The question is going to be, how does he really fit? Is he going to fit in more as the blocker? Because as downfield targets go, George Kittle's still George Kittle. He's finally starting to slow down, but he's still George Kittle. And Ricky Pearsall, if he can stay on the field, now granted, the first his rookie year, it wasn't really his fault. He got shot. He got the whole robbery thing. But like the second time around this season, now, like, is there going to be a concern going forward? We don't know, because like the first time was a robbery issue. It wasn't on the field. So whether Stribling can get on the field as a real threat in the receiving game is going to be something to pay attention to. But as an extra guy to block, I think it's going to be interesting. How'd you feel about the Romello Heights pick from Texas Tech?
I mean, he's a good player. It's just felt like a big time. I don't see him pairing well with Nick Bosa. Like he feels like one of those 49ers edge rushers that don't pan out, but then some random guy that they sign ends up playing a lot better than him. Like that's how Romello Heights feels to me. But I wanted to tell you about all the 49ers running back drafts picks since 2021 because they've drafted running backs. You would think this team would give up.
No, Elijah Mitchell was a UDFA, but I know there's, if I remember right, there's going to be.
No, Elijah Mitchell's a round 6 pick.
Okay, so he's round 6. Jordan James was, I think, a round 4.
Round 5 last year.
Okay, round 5. And then Garendo is another one that they drafted.
Round 4 in 2024. And then 2022, Tyrion Davis Price.
That's right.
And then 2021, Trey Sermon out of Ohio.
Trey Sermon. Shit.
Oh, I remember people in dynasties.
Bro, I swear to God, that's what I was about to say. Every single time there's dynasty threads on Reddit and things like that where they're like, we got to get the guy because it could be the handcuff to CMC, or it could be the guy after CMC like finally goes down or retires or whatever. And it's like, and then McCaffrey's just like, hey guys, CMC, anytime touchdown. Yeah. Let's get rich together.
Greatest bet. I tell you guys as a guy who does sports gambling as a hobby, not like as like, oh, this is how I feed my family type of shit. The greatest bet, the greatest investment, I don't care what anyone says, it's not Bitcoin, it's not like investing in stocks. When the NFL season hits, all you do is open up your whatever betting app you have, you put CMC anytime touchdown. I don't care, just put money on it. You'll win money every time. It's just like a free money glitch. It's just like, oh wow, it's like entering a cheat code. Sometimes you'll get lucky, and then if you want to be frisky with it, you decide to do CMC 2 touchdowns, or then if you want to be really crazy, 3 touchdowns. But you don't put that much money on the 3 touchdown one. But yeah, no, it's the greatest scene of all time. Yeah, no, Christian McCaffrey, the guy whose dad is a psychopath and one of the greatest receivers ever. If you actually watch football and you actually care about actual shit besides stats. Ed McCaffrey was a stud. Yeah, this guy was trained to be a football player, and he takes his body very seriously. He's not going to retire anytime soon. As much as like he will look like he's dying on the sideline every other play, this guy is still going to be there and stuff. So yeah, very head scratching draft from the San Francisco 49ers. But I don't know. To me, drafting a receiver that run blocks, it's like the Ravens when they drafted Rashad Bateman. It's like, cool, he can run block, but what else can he do?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. He is like comparable to a Juwan Jennings, and Jennings is not a bad receiver.
Like, Juwan Jennings was a quarterback that turned into a wide receiver.
Right, but he still wasn't bad at being a wide receiver.
Do you know the one wide receiver turned quarterback that ended up being a first-round pick? He played in an AFC Championship game.
Like recently? Wait a minute.
Not recently.
I was about to say, like, what is it?
Well, I guess kind of recently. I guess. Yeah.
I don't know.
Ryan Tannehill.
He started out as a wide receiver?
Yeah, he was a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And then like his senior season, they're like, want to play quarterback? And he's like, sure. and then he ended up getting drafted first round as a quarterback, Tannehill. And then afterwards, Tannehill became
I would like that is kind of an indication of where we have gone as a league when it comes to drafting quarterbacks. Like Tannehill, to your point, like did not have that much experience at being a quarterback, was still a first round talent, and that yet people are surprised when somebody like Anthony Richardson goes 5th overall or something like that. It's like, yeah, that's just what the league does. That's just what happens. But actually, speaking of which, we're going to talk about it. Let's go to them first. We're going to, instead of going left to right, we're going to drop down. The Rams pick 13, Ty Simpson. Quarterback, Alabama. What the fuck?
They just ruined the Cardinals' master plan. The Cardinals are like, yes, we got the master plan. Jeremiah Love in the first,
God.
Ty Simpson in the second. No one will ruin it. And the Rams are like, whose house? Rams' house.
And the best
I think this was the most shock. This beats out. Do you remember the one draft, 2013? When everyone thought Buffalo was going to take Geno Smith because Geno Smith's old coach was the Buffalo head coach and stuff. Yeah. And they shockingly took EJ Manuel in the first round. disputes this out. I did not understand this draft pick. And in fact,
the funniest part of this is like McVay's the conference post draft, and then like them trying to like backtrack sort of and be like, no, it was because we wanted to show Matt that we have faith and trust in him, and we're telling Matt that it's his team until he decides to retire or whatever. And it's like, okay, but you're gonna lose at maybe 2 years of Ty Simpson's cheap value as a quarterback. Like, it worked out for the Packers for sure, but like, you don't know if Ty Simpson is Jordan Love. And it's just like, oh God, what are you guys doing? And the argument, that they could have drafted Mekhi Lemon or one of the other guys, but they were like, would they have been an immediate impact starter? No. So he wanted to get, but then you took somebody who wasn't an immediate impact starter. And on top of that, just trade the pick. It's the 13th overall pick. You would have gotten at least another first round. You would have gotten a 2027. Like, if all you did every year was trade one of the first round picks to get a first round pick the next year, and then the next year you used one of those picks to either pick a player or acquire a player, because this time they basically traded it for Trent McDuffie, and then you trade the other first round pick for the one from the next year. Like, that's how I build franchises in Madden and win 10 Super Bowls in a row. Like, what are we doing?
And this one, like, I like Ty Simpson. He does not compare, like, but like when everyone's like, oh no, see, this is good because Ty Simpson's like, it's like Mahomes, it's like Jordan Love, it's like Bill Rivers, it's like blah blah blah. Like, all the quarterbacks that sit. Here's the difference between Ty Simpson and all those other quarterbacks. Bill Rivers started from like his sophomore year until he got drafted. Jordan Love started at least, I want to say, 24 to 30 games for Utah. Freaking Mahomes was pretty much a starter for 2 years at Texas Tech. Ty Simpson only has one season as a starter at Alabama, and most of the time he was playing cleanup. And I like Ty Simpson. I think he's very sneaky, athletic. He has a nice arm, but it's just like, if you're going to draft a quarterback to stash, wouldn't you do this next draft where there's a lot more quarterback talent than this draft where Ty Simpson, everyone was thinking, is he really the number 2 best quarterback? Like this was just one of those like weird, like, I get it. You want a quarterback on, and where you picked him at 13, his cap value is not going to be as high and stuff. It's just one of those where it's like, and then you have McVay being like, oh, he'll compete with Stetson Bennett for the QB2. No, if you're drafting this guy, he's QB2. There's no competition for QB2. I don't care if Stetson Bennett.
The idea that you're gonna have the first round pick compete with the 5th round pick of Stetson Bennett.
And Stetson Bennett's much older and has off the field issues that you guys didn't know if he was ever going to return to the fucking team. Like,
dog, it's crazy.
Yeah, no,
the rest of this draft is just like kind of ridiculous too. Like, Max Clare, okay, cool, but you one, just got Terrence Ferguson last year, and 2, you re-signed Tyler Higbee. Like,
12 personnel, John. That's what we're doing.
They have
we're first team to run 2 QBs, 3 tight ends.
They have 4 tight ends on the roster right now.
John, shut up. I'm
under
telling
contract. You. Like, and not under contract for a short period of time.
It's all right. Under
actual contract.
One of them can play slot receiver. It'll be Puka, my 4 tight ends, 2 QBs out there. We don't need a running back. Get me sick.
Yeah, look at this. So, okay, all right. So they've got Colby Parkinson, Tyler Higbee, Terrence Ferguson, Max Clare. I'm pretty sure Colby Parkinson, I don't think it's a 1-year deal. Let me check. But, like, bro, it's ridiculous.
You know, it's ridiculous. You're not seeing the fucking vision when I'm telling you the vision.
All right. Okay. So at least Colby Parkinson's in the last year of his 3-year deal. But knowing these idiots, they're going to fucking extend them. Like, it's just weird because, like, Les Snead has been so good in general when it comes to drafting or, like, being able to massage and do all that stuff. And I'm just like, what are they doing?
You don't know shit, John. Once my 2 QB 4 tight end system works, you're going to be like, wow, but they did it again. What a genius.
Listen. Offensive head coaches, you got to love them sometimes.
Yeah, we're fucking geniuses. Deal with it.
But let's turn to a defensive head coach in the form of the Seattle Seahawks. and they know they've lost K9 in free agency, and they know that Zach Charbonnet, they don't know exactly when they're going to get him back. They don't want to have a situation where Kenny McIntosh is the lead running back, or your boy
Hulumalu.
George, what is it?
Hulumalu
as RB1. So they go and get the RB2 from Notre Dame. If everyone's talking about Jeremiah Love, then Jadarian Price was definitely not as good, but he's really good too. And he's probably the second best running back in this draft. And so being able to get him is pretty cool. And you're getting him at a first-round draft pick value. So you do have the fifth-round option. You are paying him a little bit more than you would in some of these other running backs are getting. But, hey, it is what it is. Then you go back and you really try to help this defense out, which already is a killer defense. But you did lose some pieces. So you get Bud Clark, great safety out of TCU, Julian Neal, cornerback out of Arkansas. Like this is another draft where it's like there's nothing that's too terrible about this. Like they did, considering that they originally walked into this with, I think it was just 4 draft picks. The fact that they ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players is actually pretty interesting. So they found ways to make things work for them and move around as much as they needed to. They originally were trying to trade out of pick 32. They didn't want to pick somebody, but nobody was biting. So they were like, all right, well, we're going to get Jadarian Price anyway, or we want him anyway. Might as well just make sure we get him with that 5th-year option, and we have control over him for 5 years. Tell the commissioner that's the name. How did you feel about Seattle's draft?
Yeah, I like Seattle's draft a lot. Like you could tell Mike McDonald used a lot of his time with the Ravens and learned how the Ravens drafted for being late drafters all the time. And the only thing I wish they would have added was one edge rusher to kind of help out the edge room, because it did get pillaged by being a Super Bowl winner and not being able to afford. So that was the only thing that they kind of missed out on, was getting a good edge rusher. But Jadarian Price, he's pretty much hey, he's not as fast as K9, but he's pretty fast, and he'll pair up well with Charbonnet when Charbonnet gets back on the field. Love the Bud Clark pickup. Feels very Seattle. And also Julian Neal, a guy that, was underlooked at Fresno State when he was there, transferred to Arkansas and had a really big breakout year for the Razorbacks, and honestly could have been a second-round talent type of player if he was playing at a bigger school, but he was playing at Fresno State, so no one really paid attention. But Bo Stevens, run blocking, big time guard, obviously Seattle is telling you, hey, our team is a run first team that can hit you with play action and all that other stuff. So really liked what they did, the Seahawks. I think they got a lot of good, talented players that, I don't know if they're going to start, but they're going to be players. And then also re-adding more to the cornerback room, because Rick Woolen went over to Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
They traded him away, and they didn't really have anyone else at corner and stuff. So they went with 2 other corners later in the draft. And Michael Dansby, he was part of that talented Arizona. If you look at Arizona, they had a bunch of their secondary guys go.
I noticed that.
Yeah, Genesis Smith, Traydon Stooks. Stooks went to the Raiders. Genesis Smith to the Chargers. One other corner, he got drafted, and then Dansby, he got drafted in the 7th round and stuff. And then Toledo, I mean, they've been producing good secondary players since Quinyon Mitchell has entered the league. They've kind of been a nice little small school DBU. So hopefully that turns out. But yeah, I like this draft by the Seattle reigning defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, it is a really fascinating, because one thing I always like to pay attention to, or to study, is how Super Bowl winners respond. Because
we do it all the time, but no one ever gives us credit, man.
Because a lot of times, they do get
better than one.
They get hollowed out a lot of times, and how they're able to bounce back with it is going to be interesting to see. Say that again. What was that, Pat?
I mean, you're just ignoring me. It's all right. We just showed the value in the blueprint, and these guys are stealing it, man.
The value of the blueprint. Well, okay. First off,
how many championships we have?
Okay, but in Seattle's defense, when they had the ability to take the running back in the 1st round, they didn't pick Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You know what I mean?
Hey, man, we thought he was going to be good.
That was one where Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I thought he was perfect at the time. It was just once they realized, yeah,
bro. I don't know if you remember how much he's an LSU running back. So like Romeo was immediately on like the Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be like amazing, and then the Kansas City offense is going to be like the greatest thing ever since like sliced bread, and did not pan out.
Yeah, I think Price will pan out much better than Edwards-Helaire did.
Yeah, it's just wild because like Edwards-Helaire's pick 132, and then in the second round was DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins. I mean, even Cam Akers maybe Cam Akers would have been worse. But like they could have gotten Cam Akers.
I think Akers would have been better, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, it's tough to it's tough to not be better.
Whatever, man.
What Clyde Edwards?
It's all right. When we're back picking 32 again next year, y'all gonna be sorry.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that, buddy.
Your quarterback's hurt too, man. He ain't gonna show up week 1.
Yeah, absolutely is. He's already running. It was a cleanup procedure.
Yeah, me too. I'm running too.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm running faster than him too, man.
I don't know about that, Pat.
Yeah.
About that.
How many rushing yards does he have? That's right.
More than Patrick Mahomes.
No, not even. Whatever. Let's just go talk about your other shitty teams.
Well, let's talk about a running back that you could have used, Pat, but you didn't get a chance to get.
It's all right. I got my Lion King on.
in the form of Jeremiah Love, the other Notre Dame running back, the one that everyone was talking about. As much as Davion is happy with Jadarian Price, Jeremiah Love kind of was the creme de la creme, the crown jewel of this draft, and a lot of people like on the offensive side for sure, and a lot of people were talking about him as arguably the best player in the draft entirely. There was an argument of him, Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, Arvo Reese. Like those were the guys that people were really touting as who's going to be like the number one best player in the draft. And Jeremiah Love provides such an interesting, dynamic, powerful runner. Why on God's green earth did he go to Arizona? Annoying. It's very annoying from just a fantasy perspective.
We're never going to see him. Just turn on the 4:00 window. That's when you'll see Jeremiah.
From a fantasy perspective, it sucks. From a team perspective, it sucks. It's like I get it, like the idea of look at what Saquon Barkley turned the Giants into, right? But like, are you going to be able to are you going to be able to do with Saquon Barkley? With Jeremiah Love, what the Giants were able to do with Saquon Barkley? I don't know. I don't know if I trust that coaching staff to be able to pull this off. The other thing that I think is interesting, because like I said, I'm putting all these into the spreadsheet. Arizona did not make a single trade. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think there was any other team that did not make a single trade. It's possible, but I don't remember right now off the top of my head. And it's really surprising to me because I'm like, how do you not move at all? At all? Like there was either, which that means to me is the valuations were off. Because there had to have been teams that were calling at different points in time. Either, for example, in the first round, they wanted too much, or they were comfortable like just sitting where they were and just taking Jeremiah Love. But for those other picks, it means that your valuations versus the other GMs that were talking to you or that you were calling, those valuations were off because there was no moves whatsoever.
Yep.
It's just weird to me. Like, I don't know what you're trying. And the problem is there are parts of this draft that I like. Like, I like Caleb Proctor as a defensive tackle for Arizona. I like Chase Besantis as a guard for Arizona. Yep. I even like Carson Scherer as a linebacker because you just need the depth. Like, you're building the pieces of the defense to try to get there. I like a lot of what you're doing. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, how does all of this fit together? Is the idea here for Arizona that with Jacoby Brissett and Gardner Minshew and apparently Carson Beck for some reason, you're going to suck enough that you're going to get one of the top picks next year? You already picked 3, and then you're going to get the quarterback then? Is the plan that Carson Beck is going to be able to develop when he didn't really show that much development either at Georgia or when he transferred? I don't know. It just feels weird to me. And I'm looking at this team, and I'm looking at the other 3 teams in this division. And yeah, we kind of shit on the Niners draft to a degree, but the Niners draft can afford to be shitty because they have such great players elsewhere. The Rams draft, yeah, it can afford. They have the luxury of picking Ty Simpson because they have Devontae Adams, they have Puka Nacua, they have Kyron Williams, they have Jared Verse, they have that defense. Seattle just proved that they can get the job done. What did Arizona do to take that step forward? It's kind of mind-boggling. I'm hoping that they can figure things out. Just because, like, from a competitive standpoint, it's nicer. It's just nicer to have teams be more competitive. How did you feel about the Arizona picks?
I felt they were drafting based on ceiling more than anything else. Like, these guys have the high ceiling and a low floor. Like, Jeremiah Love was my second best prospect in this draft class, so getting him at 3, I like. They need, like, even though, like, rest in peace to Trey Benson fantasy owners, it was a great run,
which is including you.
Yeah, I have him in. Besides dynasty leagues we're in, and every other dynasty league, I've just had Trey Benson for years. I could have traded him for a bunch of other players, but I always believed, leave the memories alone. Play that song real quick, and it won't change. Like the Trey Benson highlights, just all like 8 of them that exist because this guy can't stay healthy. But I like the pickup of Jeremiah Love. Chase Basantis is great. They needed offensive line help, but you could tell their draft got fucked up when Ty Simpson got picked at 13, and a lot of other teams that were looking at Simpson as their potential heir apparent because they decided to reach really hard for Carson Beck in round number 3. And now Beck has a sexy arm. It can go very deep, but it's super duper erratic. You saw it in the national championship game. Like, the national championship game is like the best and worst of Carson Beck. The last drive against Indiana had a great chance. Just threw an erratic deep ball for the game sealing interception against the Hoosiers. But yeah, it'll be fun little experiment in Arizona and stuff. It might be my Madden team. I think I'm gonna make Carson Beck.
The other thing that's just like kind of frustrating about it is like, how with these 3 quarterbacks, how are you helping Marvin Harrison Jr. develop when it's clear that he needs some help to continue to develop?
Easy, man. They just rely on the other wide receiver that everyone likes.
But the thing is that the problem is that if you're Marv and you're the heir and the Cardinals, after this season, all of the 2024 kids can start opening their negotiation window because maybe
Marvin Harrison will just be like, I'm not negotiating.
That's the thing. The teams will let them know whether or not they're picking up the 5th-year option after.
And then Marvin Harrison says, please don't do it. I'm
But that's what I'm saying. Like, from what I'm saying is from the perspective of Arizona, it's like you spent it's like you spent 4th overall in 2024 to get this guy, and you are doing nothing with him over the 2024, 25, and what is now going to be the 2026 season. It's like, this is waste. It's wasteful. Like, if I had Marvin Harrison Jr. on the Broncos, I'd be so much happier. He'd be happier too. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, it is what it is, John. These teams know better than we do.
Anyway.
Maybe LaFleur's little brother can figure it out.
Anyway.
He's an offensive wizard. Never called plays, never done anything but designed them on a play sheet, but he's a wizard.
That is true. Just because it is still one of the funniest things that I thought ever happened in our league. This is just a reminder that the trade was the former owner of your team or the former manager of your team traded to Brandon Jamar Chase and got back Puka Nacua, Trey Benson, and a 2027 third-round pick. And this happened in September of 2024. So, like, 1, that's how you have Puka Nacua. But 2, I think you'd rather probably have Jamar Chase over Puka Nacua and Trey Benson and the 2027 third-round pick.
I like Puka Nacua. I'm cool.
I mean, yeah, but I would still want Jamar Chase.
Yeah, no, I love Jamar. I mean, I have Jamar Chase in my one dynasty league, and people try to trade for me.
There you go.
Can't get one of my favorite players. I still just want a Jamar Chase jersey just so that way I can have Chase number 1 on the back.
That's fair. That is fair.
My girlfriend has a Jamar Chase jersey.
Really?
Yeah, so she went to the NFL shop with her and her mom in Vegas.
Yeah.
Did not realize and found like the plain white Bengals jersey, so it doesn't say Bengals. She got it because it says Chase with the 1 on the back. And not realizing it's a Jamar Chase Cincinnati Bengals jersey. It's this clean white one. So she just bought it. Yeah, she just bought it. She says, because Chase is number 1. And I was like, I like it. But you can't.
Look at her acknowledging her OT.
She almost wore it to the Chargers Bengals game. And I said, you cannot wear that. I was like, you can't.
All right, that would have been funny as shit, though.
I told her no, so she didn't wear it, thankfully.
Anyway, let's move on to our last division to talk about, and it is the NFC North. Chase's other NFC team.
Yeah, Cowboys obviously number 1 in my heart and soul. Even surpassing the Chargers. I love my Cowboys. No, I don't love them. I just like to troll. But
I was about to say it's a team that wears blue. It starts with a C, and they don't really go far in the playoffs.
Yeah, they don't even do anything either.
It really.
They at least have the 90s. The Chargers don't have that. We just our claim to fame is that we got our ass. We're the reason why Steve Young got the monkey off his back. He was able to beat us in the Super Bowl.
Famously, that's one of the flares on the AFC West Meme War subreddit. It's like one ex Super Bowl participant that Chargers fans can put under their
Yeah. We won like the NFL championship back in the day.
Let's talk about another team that the name doesn't start with a C, but they do wear blue. And they are the Detroit Lions, trying to bite kneecaps off for another year in a row. Took some steps back without Ben Johnson there, got rid of their offensive coordinator, bringing in somebody new, and let's see how all this is gonna play out for them. They got a lot of decisions to make because Jared Goff's getting older and his contract continues to tick upwards and upwards and upwards. And if Jared Goff isn't going to be the guy, then one, you got to start looking for the future, and you got to start looking for the future anyway, just because of his age. But one thing they got to do is protect him no matter what, especially because they're having people retire on them. So they go and get Blake Miller, offensive tackle, in the first round. And this one was interesting because it was part of this overall run on tackles in the first round. But there was an argument that he wasn't one of the better ones. So how he's gonna get compared to a lot of these other OTs, and it's a team that needs line help. They really do. Jahmyr Gibbs can run the ball, but they're sometimes on those passing downs, Jared Goff's out there getting killed, and he's not a spring chicken anymore. He's not able to just evade and be a little mobile enough or agile enough to evade a sack anymore. He's getting older. The rest of this draft is pretty defense heavy, very, very defense heavy. There's only Kendrick Law, a wide receiver from Kentucky. I guess the argument there is if you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, you have James, you drafted those guys so that now you don't need to draft wide receivers, right? Or you don't need to draft targets. To me, I think a lot of this is going to depend on how Blake Miller performs as an offensive tackle or just in general on the O-line. But that's because I don't know as much about Derek Moore and some of these other defensive picks. So how did you feel about Detroit? You follow college a lot more than I do.
Yeah, the Detroit Lions have done this where they've overdrafted players. I mean, at one point in time, Jahmyr Gibbs was a reach. I don't care what anyone says. We can revision history, Jahmyr Gibbs all we want. Teams are laughing that Detroit Lions picked Jahmyr Gibbs when they did. They're laughing when they drafted Jack Campbell. They're in stuff, and they became really good players. I'm guessing with this move, Blake Miller becomes the new right tackle, and they put Penei Sewell at left. I'm guessing that's what the move is with this one, because Taylor Decker, I believe, is no longer Detroit Lion, or he's about to retire soon.
So right now they've got. At least this is our lads, but they're slotting Blake Miller as starting right tackle.
Yeah, and then Penei Sewell kicks out left, right?
Sewell is left, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, I mean, Sewell was a left tackle that ended up being a kick-ass right tackle, and he'll still be a kick-ass tackle. Do you think he's going to go to the same therapy coach that Tristan Wirfs went to? And where Tristan Wirfs was like, I don't know how to play left or right tackle. He's going to do the same thing? He's going to have issues?
Hey, listen. Sometimes in life you got to be open to making changes, and sometimes you need therapy to help you with that.
Yeah. But the rest of this draft, the two Michigan players. Obviously, they're closer to that school in terms of pipeline. So those are probably just like they had high grades on them. I like the Kendrick Law pickup. I think he's going to be a great wide receiver 3, and then also 2 in time spot out Jameson Williams if he needs a breather. He does have some nice little burners to him. Skylar Gill Howard, what a pickup in round 6. I like him as a player. It's because he's injured, and a lot of people don't know how that injury is going to come along. If he is ever going to return to the player that he was when he was at his smaller school before transferring to Texas Tech. But I like him a lot. I think he's going to be really good. And if he pans out, they got themselves a steal. And especially with the other kid that they drafted last year, the Ohio State kid, defensive tackle. Yeah, they're going to have a nice little D line to help Aiden Hutchinson just go after the quarterback, which he's really good at. So I actually don't mind the draft from the Detroit Lions. I think they did a good job, and especially like why they went so heavy on defense is that was the side of the ball that was getting injured like crazy last year for them, and they just didn't have the depth. They were just signing a bunch of like street people, like street clothes, street warriors, like just 10-day warriors to come in and just help them, fill in holes on that defense. So I can understand why it was like, hey, look, offensively, we know our guys are going to show up and play. Like they're showing up, they're playing, they're going to be there. But defensively, we just got killed. They lost their top safety last year. They lost a top corner last year. They lost their linebacker. Hutch went out for a little bit. The guy that was supposed to pair up with Hutch went out. It's like just so many injuries. It was just like, damn, dude, like it's just a walking dead out there. So they needed depth, and I think that's what they used this draft for, was to get that depth. So I think they did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that this is a team that would have been a lot different, both on offense and on defense, had someone like Sam Laporta not got hurt. Because Sam, like what he's able to do, what he brings for that ability to just move the ball and keep the sticks moving is really important from the offense's perspective. But more importantly, it allows that defense time to recover, and it allows that defense time to be able to sit when it's their turn to play, because they know more so that the offense is going to be able to score and keep them in it. So let's turn to the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers did not have a first-round pick. They had traded it for Micah Parsons. And
what did Jerry do, John? Just threw a fastball and got Caleb Downs with it. Genius Jerry, bro.
That would have been the Malachi Lawrence one, or what became the Malachi Lawrence pick, because the Packers were in the playoffs. So that would have been pick 20 originally.
No, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Whatever.
But, I mean,
fastball Jerry, dude.
But the Packers
fleeced the Jets, fleeced the Packers, fleeced them all, bro.
Trying to make things work. The Packers are, and they're trying to. They were like, you know what? We're gonna get Micah Parsons. We're then going to also trade Lawrence to the Cowboys again. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to just go get Micah Parsons some help, because we feel as though we have things figured out on offense, which to me is wild, because you have an open wide receiver room in Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, and Matthew Golden, the first-round pick from last year, and Savion Williams as well. They lost Romeo Doubs. I think they did lose Dontavian Wicks. But it's still a very open room. You're going to have Tucker Kraft returning from an ACL tear, and you have Josh Jacobs, who the decline is happening. The decline is happening for Josh Jacobs. Like it's there. He's still a good running back. He's still probably one of like a top 15 running back, but he's not the top 10, arguably top 5 running back that he was maybe even 3 years ago. So the fact that they went all defense on this, like they didn't even take a single skill position player. Like the only thing they took on offense is a center. That's really interesting to me. It's really surprising. I want to see how Gutekunst's plan works out here, because they're putting a lot of pressure on LaFleur and the offense to figure this out. And they're going to say that we're trying to make sure this defense is going to be able to support you. But what you have on offense, that's what you've got. How do you feel about this draft for the Packers?
If the Packers had like a very stable offense, I would have loved this draft for the Packers. But since their offense is kind of in a weird flux where like similar to the Eagles, there's games where it's like, oh man, Jordan Love is dealing. He looks great. Yeah, I can see why people call him a top 10 quarterback. Then there's games where it's like, dude, Jordan Love stinks. What is this guy doing? And stuff like there's certain times with that offense, it's just hit or miss. Obviously, defensively, they needed to fill some holes. Just kind of like the Lions, not as much as talked about. The Packers, they got picked off with injuries. They lost McKinney. They lost the other cornerback that they liked a lot too. Linebackers was kind of in flux for them. So they needed something on defense to kind of help out a little bit. And they were also had a lot of guys planning on leaving. Rashawn Gary's no longer on the team, right? Like, or not Rashawn. Who was the guy that was across from Micah Parsons? I'm thinking of another player. Rashawn Gary's another defensive end that was good at one point. Was it Rashawn Gary?
No, Gary was traded.
Oh yeah,
he was. You're thinking of Quay Walker.
Quay Walker, yeah. Yeah, they lost him. But yeah, no, Brandon Sissy, very good, talented corner. Like him a lot. Chris McKellen, I think, very nice little run stuffing defensive tackle. Dennis Sutton, he's a Penn State defensive end. He didn't wear the captain number as the Penn State defensive end, but Penn State defensive ends, they do one thing and one thing well, and that's rushing the quarterback. Damani Jackson, a nice little pickup from Alabama. Played a little bit of the star position for Bama and also played outside. So I really like that. Hey, they took a kicker. They couldn't afford that shitty kicker anymore. They were like, fuck it. Let's get Trey Smack from Florida. Will he turn out well? I don't know. Trey Smack, hit or miss as a kicker. But sure, why not? Solid draft for the Packers.
Yeah, it's interesting because like if we want to talk about who because I said their offense is in a weird position and you said their offense is in flux. The only offensive person they added from free agency is Kansas City Chiefs legend Sky Moore. I'm like, what? Like that's what you did? Okay, cool.
Yeah, him and Matthew Golden are gonna fight who can have the worst jersey number at wide receiver. I was 22 at one point. Really, I was 24, like Colby. Damn, I didn't think about that.
On defense, they added your boy Benjamin St-Juste and Javon Hargrave. So at least Hargrave is not bad, but like I don't know.
St-Juste played well for the Chargers.
Right. It's just like I don't know how much of these three additions jump out at me as like this is what's going to help the team get over the hump. Because like the Packers have just been stuck. Every year, it's like they run into the Rams, they run into the Eagles, and they just get stuck.
Well, this playoff loss was worse. They were killing the Bears, and then the cardiac Bears came back.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Now you got to worry about the Bears too. It's like
like ridiculous. The NFC North, like as much as we were glazing the NFC West, the NFC North is just like this is a tough division that you have to go against.
Oh yeah, by far. But the issue with the NFC North is just what's going to happen with this next team that we're going to talk about, actually, because that's what dragged them down last year.
I love my guy KOC. He's back.
I know, but I mean,
him and Kyler, dude. Once he restores Kyler's career, you're gonna message me in November and be like, Chase, KOC is the greatest coach.
Bro, if he brings back Kyler's career, give him Coach of the Year easily.
Yeah, two-time Coach of the Year.
Unless
Tomlin takes over the Patriots and does better than Vrabel.
No, I was gonna say unless Sean Payton goes complete annihilation with the addition of Waddle, and which I don't think is gonna happen. Like they'll be competitive, but I don't think they'd be annihilating teams.
When's Jim Harbaugh gonna win Coach of the Year? He's been like an odds-on favorite every year. It's never happened. Yeah. Every year he's one of the top three favorites, and everyone's like, nah.
I mean, listen, not to rub salt in a wound or anything like that, but it's just like every year coming into the season, it's like it's gonna be great, and then all of a sudden, like 4 Chargers players just die, and it's like, oh, well, there go his odds.
Yeah, exactly.
Which honestly, the fact that the Chargers remain competitive despite the injuries is the argument for him to get Coach of the Year.
Yeah, he's been working with one of the worst rosters in quite some time, and he's finally almost forming it into a Jim Harbaugh roster. Like it's not there yet. I told Chargers fans we have to wait till year 4 for the full Harbaugh roster and stuff because he still have to work with this genius Tom Telesco. Oh, can't believe the Raiders let him go. Yeah, it didn't take a rocket science to just take Brock Bowers with the pick that he took. Like fucking morons.
I love how much you hate Tom Telesco.
Tom Telesco sucks dick, bro. He's the worst GM ever. I had to deal with this asshat for way too long.
You hate him.
Yeah, dude. Tom Telesco. Every other coach would get scapegoated. Yet who hired him? Tom Telesco. This guy hired 3 head coaches, John. 3 of them things. And it took the 3rd one for him to finally get fired. Hey. How many other GMs do you know get besides Trent Baalke gets this kind of fucking luxury? Swear, fucking idiots.
But somebody who doesn't seem to be on the hot seat.
They lost their GM to Giants.
Yeah, the Vikings. They did lose
the Vikings. Yeah, Kawhi. Yeah,
but
it took too long paternity.
Yeah, he took too long on the paternity leave. But KOC,
I think it was for the better.
KOC, he's probably not on the hot seat just because they're looking at him like, hey, what's going on with this JJ McCarthy kid?
Oh, dude, if KOC ever gets fired, whatever team has just like a head coach they don't love, they'll fire him just to hire KOC.
Wait, what was it like? They were teams were wanting to see like what John Harbaugh was going to do because they were like, we'll fire our guy.
Yeah,
if you want to come here. So it's kind of interesting. But this is a situation in flux for the Vikings. Like KOC isn't on the hot seat, but at the same time, a repeat of last year, he's on the hot seat because like you are burning through the youthful years of Justin Jefferson. You are burning through the final couple of cheap years of Jordan Addison. You got to figure this out. This is an aging offense in the sense that Aaron Jones, they grabbed Damon Claiborne in the 6th round, but like you're relying upon Aaron Jones and what's his name? Jordan Mason. Basically a cast off from the Niners, one of those Niners running backs. But it's such a weird team because like you can see where all the pieces are. And luckily they still have a really, really good defense. What I thought was interesting is that they really doubled down on that defense. These first 3 picks are super interesting. Caleb Banks, awesome, good defensive end. Jake Golday, one of the better linebackers, not like Arvell Reese or something, like of that second tier of linebackers, he was up there. And then Big Citrus, Dominique Orange, nice D tackle out of Iowa State. Like these are some great choices.
I love all 3 of these picks.
It's the back half of this draft where I'm like, wait a minute, did you really need a fullback?
Yeah,
like in round 5, like think about this. You have Aaron Jones who is aging. You weren't even sure if you were going to bring him back. You have Jordan Mason who
had to replace CJ Ham.
Whatever. And like you're going to get but you're going to get a fullback in round 5, but then wait until round 6 to get the running back.
They had to replace CJ Ham. The emotional locker room leader.
How do you feel about this Vikings draft?
I love the first 3 picks. Caleb Banks, he's just an athletic monster. If he puts it together, he's going to be great. Jake Golday, nice little pickup. Learn underneath those linebackers and just get better and better. Probably will start 2. Big Orange, Big Citrus. Love it. Rest of this draft, we'll have to wait and see. Jacoby Thomas, I think that's a great little he's not going to replace what Harrison Smith brought to the table, but he can play deep. That's good about him. But yeah, we'll more wait and see for the Vikings. A lot of wait and see kind of guys. I think Dominic Orange is the only guy where I'm like, yeah, he will start day 1. Like Caleb Banks is great, but it's more of like you have Dallas Turner and you have Caleb Banks. Now you have 2 athletic, freakish edge rushers. Which one will actually pan out? Because Dallas Turner, he doesn't have his running mate anymore. And they trade away the running mate, or they don't have the defensive end that they were pairing up with them anymore, huh? It's just him.
Yeah, I guess what I'm looking at it is like if you're the Vikings, are you thinking to yourselves like we are rebuilding, like we're doing like a soft rebuild, or are you looking at it like we're going to be competitive? Because the first 3 picks are like we're going to be competitive, and then the last part of this draft is like we're rebuilding. It's just and to be fair to them, a lot of these picks, and that's kind of the case for all of like round 5 onwards, right? Like that kind of is what happens, and you could argue even round 4 for some of the picks. But like at the same time, I just want to know, like, where are these people going to slot in? Is the value of a player in? I'd rather try to trade a round 6 pick or round 7 pick to try to get something in round 5 in 2027 than maybe make the pick this year. Because that's where you want to sometimes look at it and say, do the Rams game right with the 13th pick and say Mekhi Lemon's not going to start for us. It doesn't make sense to take him. If this person is not going to be able to develop into a starter by like year 2 or maybe year 3 because of just how the aging aspects of your defense, then is that person going to be valuable enough for the team? I don't know. So we'll see how this one works. But that takes us to our final team, your actual NFC team.
The basketballs. I fell in love with the Cowboys.
The Chicago Bears. And RJ, our pal RJ, was really happy with the Dylan Thieneman pick. That's who he was hoping for in the first round. He really wanted to get Danny Dennis-Sutton as well. And after it was day 2 where I was like, listen, you got the 4th round pick. Maybe he'll fall to, I think it was 129. Yeah, I don't forget if Chicago moved up or what, but like I think it was 129 or something like that. And I was like, yeah, he could still be there at 129. And then boom, like almost right before the Packers take Danny Dennis-Sutton. But still, this is a pretty solid draft. Like you needed secondary help really badly, and you get one of the best safeties in the class. You needed a center after Drew Dahlman retired. You knocked that out with round 2. You arguably didn't need a tight end, but you could make the argument that Cole Kmet is not going to be on this team for much longer, just because he's going to be a cap casualty. It's not that he's necessarily a bad player.
No, Kmet's great. It's just cap casualty. Loveland's awesome.
Like I was saying, all those 2024 kids are going to get ready to start the renegotiation window, and you need to get cheaper at tight end because Colston Loveland's doing Colston Loveland things.
Yeah, and then they also have another kid that's really good in Burden. So you have to think about the receiver you drafted, Burden, and him.
You trade DJ Moore. Now you need to get another wide receiver 3. Xavier Thomas is right there. Like, there's really nothing that kind of stands out as bad from this draft. Was there anything like what? It just feels like a solid to good to. There are going to be some pieces that we got to develop, but our impact players are going to be impactful a lot more than, like, say, some of the Vikings impact players.
Yeah, it's not like they drafted like Caleb Banks, where it's like, okay, can he turn out well? It's like Dylan Thieneman. He can plug and play. He's going to be a starter. It will just take time for him to get used to the NFL speed. But once he does, he'll be like Harrison Smith, just be really good for a long time, and hopefully a franchise player for the Chicago Bears for a long time. Logan Jones, Iowa center, was a team captain for that team. Yeah, how can you hate that pick? Very good pickup for them. I like Sam Rush. I know I think he's also a small hands victim and stuff, but in terms of blocking and also route running, he fits well with if they want to do this 2 tight end thing, which they did with Loveland and Kmet. And, Loveland has shown the ability to also play slot receiver. So there could be times where Loveland lines up at slot, and you have Sam Roche as more of the traditional tight end. And then you just have these 2 big behemoths, especially on third downs, that can either block if Caleb decides to run, or, just be nice, big, easy targets for Caleb to throw to and stuff. So, yeah, I like it. And Sam Roche, he's improvising tight end. Like, there a lot of times in Stanford, he was like just kind of running his own routes because the Stanford quarterback was running like an idiot, and he would just be running to just make sure to like be open. So I think that's why they drafted him, because of his improvisation skills. Xavier Thomas, he's just going to fill the need of what like Zacchaeus and all these other guys that they were kind of trying to find at wide receiver 3. As like Burden and why am I drawing a blank on the other guy? The main guy they drafted, Caleb's buddy, the 9th pick of the 20. He's with the Harrison Neighbors draft. Why am I driving a break on Romeo's Dunze? Yeah, I was thinking of Dobbs because Dobbs went to the Patriots.
It's Rome versus Romeo.
Yeah, I was getting confused. But yeah, like with the Dunze, Thomas I think plays up well with the Bears and stuff. Malik Muhammad, nice little corner, going to be cheap. Think he's going to be fine. Kayshawn Elliott's probably the weakest pick, but defensive leader for Arizona State, and he was part of that team that led 2 years ago. That was like the emotional defensive leader, the Cam Scatabo, I guess you could say, of the defense and stuff. So, I mean, that's a compliment. I mean, the Arizona State team almost pulled off one of the greatest upsets in college football playoff history against Texas. Great game, one of the best games ever. And then Jordan Van Den Berg, big old man from Georgia Tech. I liked him. Had some good games.
Yeah, it's nothing too out there for the Bears. That Bears
go back to my draft, man.
The Bears offense, I think, is going to be really, really interesting to watch this year.
Floyd Madden offense, like they have been in the last 3 years.
All right, what's up, Pat? What do you want to talk about?
Man, you guys are sleeping on Emmett Johnson. That's it, man.
I'm not sleeping on Emmett Johnson.
Yeah,
I accidentally drafted Ted Hurst, and that's how you got Emmett Johnson in our league.
Whatever, man.
Like it was gonna be I was coin flipping between which one I was gonna take first, him or Mike Washington, and then I accidentally drafted Ted Hurst. And then I forgot Mike Washington, but it is what it is. Mm-hmm. I secured all the backups. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, I did.
I have Ray Davis, I have Coleman, and now I have Mike Washington. So I've got the backups to my RB starters. But anyway, guys, I think that is going to do it for us. It's been a wonderful time recapping the draft. There's still so many things to talk about. I mean, for starters, like non-NFL draft related, there's the fact that what's his name? Stephon Diggs was found not guilty. That's huge. There's teams out there that need wide receiver help, and Stephon Diggs showed that he can still go. So who knows? Like, there's an argument for the Patriots. Like, if a team has not picked up Stephon Diggs by June 1st, or at least while these conversations are going on with the Eagles, the Patriots can be like, we're comfortable just re-signing Stephon Diggs if you want to charge us too much for A.J. Brown. And then the Eagles are like, damn, they got us. That's true. That's true, especially now that Stephon Diggs has proven to be not guilty. So there's a lot, like, that whole piece is very. If I'm Howie Roseman, I'm just like, well, that changes things. But there's going to be a lot of other teams that are going to be interested in Stephon Diggs because he showed he's back from the ACL tear.
Give him Fernando Mendoza. He's the QB whisperer.
Why would you want him in our division?
No, I'm just saying to be funny. I mean, Stephon Diggs, QB whisperer. It's like every QB's best years because of Stephon Diggs.
I mean, there's an argument there. Yeah, that's true. Like, then
who was the guy before? Who was the guy before Kirk Cousins? The Case Keenum. It was Keenum.
Was it Bridgewater?
No, Bridgewater got hurt, so it was Keenum. Keenum was playing most of the playoff games.
Oh yeah.
Keenum, Cousins, CJ Stroud, Josh Allen.
Well, I mean, he didn't really do that much for CJ Stroud, to be fair.
And Drake, yeah, he did. Before he got injured, he was balling.
But that's what I'm saying. He got injured.
And then Drake May. Yeah, no, but notice how CJ Stroud went down after Diggs went out. I mean,
that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, John, I feel like it'd be great to have Diggs. I mean, he can come in with the great energy. Him and Kirk and we can just learn from each other, and it's great.
Actually, you know what? If it wasn't in our division, that would actually be great because Kirk has the experience with Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Damn. Look at you booking. Look at you booking well for the Raiders.
I mean, Diggs, he's a little bit of a wild card coach, but man, he can get open. He can catch the football. By golly, he can do that.
I don't appreciate you booking the Raiders well. I mean, they're not going to do it, so it's all right. But I don't appreciate that.
What do you think Kirk's wife's going to say when Mr. Mendoza takes over the starting position? Just like Mr. Michael, Mr. Francisco is now the starter. Okay, kids.
That's messed up.
I wonder what Kirk's biggest bachelor pad's going to look like. I mean, he had that nice house in Atlanta.
Ooh, that's true. Imagine. I mean, you would have more experience. I've never been, but like, imagine Kirk Cousins in Vegas, and he's like, "Can I get a Roy Rogers?" And they're like, "What?" Everything here is alcoholic, sir. Like, what are you talking about?
You can get non-alcoholic drinks in Vegas and stuff. You can. They might sip alcohol, pour alcohol in there, but you can.
But, all righty, guys, that's going to do it for us. Chase, let the people know where they can find you, my good sir.
Yeah, you can follow me on X at ChaseOliver68. YouTube.com around the point when I can get on to talk about wrestling. Speaking of wrestling, the Tru Heat Patreon. I don't know if Romeo uploaded yet, but we reacted to the newest episode of JCW Lunacy episode 80, the fallout from Stranglemania, which we also have reactions to that you can watch on the Tru Heat Patreon. We are lunatics. We are JCW lunatics. The theme song is the greatest theme song in wrestling history. You know how the song starts up? It goes, fuck him up, fuck him up, fuck him, fuck him, fuck him up, hit him with an uppercut, wing, wing, ding, ding, chicken wing. And I'm like, oh. And you want to get jumped, jumped up, get jumped up.
I've kind of gone out of my way to not listen to it. I'll just say that.
Well, you should. I mean, you can watch Green. You can watch. Oh, the debut of the Green Phantom was this week. The debut of Red Love, Father Bronson. We also had the JCW Championship being defended. Cocaine introduced his new valet, Hokane. This is true. This is what happened on
Okay, now I'm actually kind of interested.
Yeah, Cocaine was at ringside, and Cocaine gave her some cocaine. The Outbreak, the zombies. So there's this gimmick, John, called the Outbreak. This is the greatest gimmick. So Barnabas turned these two independent wrestlers into wrestling zombies, and they're well-oiled wrestling machines as zombies. But recently, the zombies have gotten addicted to drugs. It started with the feud with cocaine, where they got into cocaine's stash of, cocaine. And so they got high off cocaine. Now they've been drinking alcohol, stealing the announcer's medication. And Barnabas has been trying to get these guys sober, and they just can't get sober. And somehow, some way, when they were in LA for the recent taping, they got a hold of Oxycontin. And now they're on Oxycontin and stuff. And so the wrestling zombies, the Outbreak, greatest gimmick, right? This is the most hilarious thing. Dude, they'll do this, like when they're coming out, they do this like every time, like they're fiending for drugs, like
it's like it's like if the Rascals did hard drugs.
Yeah, except the Outbreak does this. They do they're like drinking during matches, they're like fiending during matches, and so it's the greatest gimmick right now in wrestling. I love the Outbreak and stuff. But yeah, so that happened. Oh, and EC3 wrestled, but I don't think anyone cares about that.
Yeah, that's all right.
Wrestled Kerry Morton. So yeah, check that out.
Yeah, wow, okay. And you guys can catch me here on the True Elite Sports Entertainment channel. Either I'm here doing Tru Offseason with Chase, or we're clocking in for the pit. We've got a lot to talk about when it comes to the pit as we move further and further through season 2. So be sure to check out those episodes when they drop. So we want to thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. We appreciate the time that you spend with us, whether it's live, whether it's on demand. Remember to hit that like button. Remember to hit subscribe. I don't know why I don't say these things at the beginning of the episodes, but I don't. But until next time, guys, remember, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll catch you all later. Pat, do you have anything to let the people know?
No, man. You're just going to end the stream when I try to play.